right. We have to leave this up for 2-3 seconds.
Okay.
All right. Maria is going to jump in. And so I'm going to, I guess, take myself off of screen share.
Yes.
Let her take it from here.
Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Looks good, Maria.
Hello? Yes, okay. All right, guys,
Okay.
this is our home Canvas page, which you guys will be using for the next 6 weeks. It's pretty much going to be your home away from home virtually for the next 6 weeks. So a few tabs that I want to highlight. First is courses here. When you go to courses, you will click on 2021 fellowship. And this will bring you to your fellowship homepage. And if you scroll up here on week 1, clicking on that header there will take you to week 1 activities for this week. So you'll have the same thing for each week throughout the 6 weeks. But if you look right here, it says navigating the 2021 fellowship page. So this here will give you guidance and instructions on navigating the 2021 fellowship page, okay? So if you have any questions, more than likely you will find those answers here. So it's just a good place to go for anything with Canvas, but you can also contact me as well, and I will help you through that. Groups here. This is where you will find the Texas Tech University homepage. So after you click on Texas Tech University, you will click on pages here. And this is our homepage for the university. And here is where you will find links to overview sessions, the ones that you will have every Monday, supplemental leadership sessions. If you click on overview, for example, here is weeks 1 through 6, and there are your Zoom links, which we've also emailed to you as well, but you have access through them here. Scroll down here, we have activity history. This is where we are going to post videos that were previously recorded. They will go here, and if you scroll a little bit further, we do have optional resources. For example, this week we do have 2 optional orientation videos that are there for your view. So you will find those here under optional resources. And the format is pretty much the same for all of the cohort activities for each one, okay? And if you scroll down here, also on our homepage is where you will see our academic team, as well as our administrative team. And the academic team will focus on sessions and discussion sections, and our administrative team will focus on logistics, community service, and cultural connections. So that is just a quick, brief overview of just Canvas and what it provides. So again, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out, email and things like that. And I think here too, you have access to all of us, everybody in your cohort, and as well as our academic team and administrative team.
Maria, while you're still on this page, can you show them where the weekly optional cultural videos will be?
Yes, those are, you'll go to groups, Texas Tech University pages, and then right here is cultural connections. And so the weekly optional will be here. These are our optional cultural connection videos. So we'll post one for each week. So here's our week 1, and then we'll just add as the weeks go by.
And those really are optional, but they are designed to kind of give you a sense of life in West Texas history, things pertinent to Texas Tech, how Texas Tech runs certain things, and they will help create a more concrete picture of life at Texas Tech and in Lubbock. So we encourage you to view those on your time if you're able to.
Yep. And I will stop sharing. Thank you.
All right. So there are a few main components to this institute. The 6 fellowship foundations, which you'll do independently on your own time during these first 2 weeks, form the basis of the institute content for all fellows to cover broad-based topics that are relevant regardless of your current level of experience or your professional interests. The Common Leadership curriculum is absolutely wonderful. It focuses on providing foundational skills for your leadership development and will give each of you a shared language around your understanding of leadership. So hopefully some of you have already completed that CLC assessment. If you haven't, we encourage you to do that as quickly as possible. That's going to be very, very interesting, and it's really going to be necessary when we go into the CLC discussion forum on Thursday. You'll complete 4 of the sessions in the first 2 weeks, and then you'll come back to the final session in week 6 to help connect to the work you've done throughout the Institute. Sounds like
I think, Michael, it's probably just helpful just to remind everybody, if you're not speaking, just mute yourself, because you get the feedback and background noise from things going on around you, and that picks up. So if everybody will mute themselves up front and then unmute if you need to talk, and, feel free to chime in and ask questions, but that just keeps the background to a minimum.
Absolutely. Thank you, Darren. I really appreciate that. The other component about that initial assessment is we need that for IREX to complete your team grid. And what's really, really neat is when we get that grid, you'll actually see how you interact with each other and how your strengths can help support your fellows and how their strengths can help support you. So as soon as you can, complete that initial assessment. Your independent work, including the Leadership Development and Action Plan, the LDAP, we like to acronize things. Exercises will be complemented by 2 discussion forums. We kind of talked on those already to give you the strength to explore your Clifton strengths. You've got the 4 track foundations, and you'll also complete those in the first 2 weeks, 2 and 2. And those are unique to the different tracks. We're public management, and so those are a little more defined for you. They're still broad-based, and they're still designed to be relevant across a variety of topics, but they are going to concentrate a little more on topics and core concepts that are more relevant to the Institute thematic area. We'll gather as a cohort in week 2 for a track foundation discussion forum, and you can discuss your takeaways from those foundation sessions at that time. In the reading period, which is week 3, you'll have access to your community of practice or COP sessions. They offer a lot of content that is even more narrowly focused on themes related to your area of professional interest. You'll have the unique opportunity to connect with and learn from fellows of other institutes that are in that particular area, which is a really neat opportunity. And they'll also be working on the same as you in your areas in those COP discussion forums in weeks 4 and 5. I know this is a lot. Hopefully you've already read over some of this, and this is already starting to sound a little familiar. In addition to all the stuff you're going to be doing independently, you're also going to have a variety of activities with us and your cohort to connect you to our community. Cultural connections, community service activities, professional networking events, and supplemental leadership sessions. We already have links for each of those in Canvas. And as Maria pointed out, we've actually emailed links for each of those Zoom sessions to the email you provided as part of your packet. We are almost positive that most, if not all, of the meetings will take place in Zoom, with the potential exception of your coaching sessions, and that's going to be very dependent on your coach. So please make sure you're comfortable with Zoom and that software and have it installed where necessary, phone, tablet, whatever you need to do. The calendar that we sent out last Monday is accurate as far as we know, although, sometimes we need to be flexible. Finally, as we've touched on, in addition to all the required cultural connection components, we have worked very hard to provide additional optional cultural components in the form of these videos. So for those optional cultural, we're going to release one a week, even in reading week during that third week. And you can watch them or not anytime throughout the week. They will stay up so you can go back and rewatch. There's going to be a lot of interesting things. In fact, for example, we're even going to talk about pets. We're going to talk about grilling. We're going to talk about windmill museums. A lot of really neat, interesting information. We really encourage you to take a look at those. All right, two very important practical takeaways that you'll develop over the course of the Institute are your focus project and your Ignite talk. My apologies. Building from the pre-fellowship focus project worksheet, which hopefully you've already started, maybe even finished, you use to generate your focus project idea, and drawing on the content of those foundational and COP sessions, you'll work through the focus project toolkit exercises to create an action plan for advancing your work after the fellowship, after the Institute concludes. You'll meet with your focus project coach this week and again in weeks 4 and 5, so they can help offer you guidance, project management, and feedback as you work through your planning process. As a reminder, please submit your focus project worksheet as soon as possible if you haven't already done so. Your coaches will reach out to you initially. In fact, some of you I know have probably already been contacted by your coaches, so you'll have their title and contact information. It'll be your responsibility to communicate with them and find a time that's mutually beneficial. I encourage you to think about planning each of those coaching sessions, even for week 4 and 5. If you can plan them now, you're probably going to be happier. I'm going to just remind you that some of the coaches will be working with more than one fellow, which means they're likely going to be working with people from different time zones. So they're going to communicate with you in our time zone, in that when they tell you times, hey, how does 9:30 a.m. sound? 9:30 is going to be Central Daylight Time. And then we're going to ask you to sort of translate that time and make sure that's a good time for you. We don't want you trying to connect with somebody at 2:30 a.m. your time, because that's not going to be mutually beneficial. But keep that in mind. Each of you will also develop an Ignite talk that you'll be able to add to your collection of leadership skills in your portfolio and networking resources. The Fellowship Foundation session on public speaking is going to introduce Ignite talks and give you an idea of how to develop this 3 to 5 minute TED Talk style presentation to highlight your work or areas of special interest. You may choose to speak on any topic, but we encourage you to incorporate this year's theme, which is Leadership for the Future, Resilience, and Inclusion. You'll have the option to be considered to have a recording of your Ignite talk professionally edited and shown during the summit, which is after our Institute. As noted in the information from IREX, links to the video submissions will be due on July 7th for competitive consideration. Up to 9 fellows will be chosen as semifinalists, and we'll get to work with an AV company during the week of July 19th, and up to 6 videos will then be selected for the summit. Guidance on the video submission and selection process can be found in the Public Speaking Fellowship Foundation module. Bit of a mouthful. Note that your video will be evaluated based on content and presentation skills, and not on your video production quality. We're looking at content, not how great your video quality is. All right, keep moving on. Apart from the optional summit process, you're required to submit a recording of your Ignite talk to satisfy your fellowship requirement. That means that we're going to get to see it. These videos will determine the 3 of you who will be selected to present your Ignite talk to our cohort live in week 6. I'm really excited about that. You'll submit your video between the 18th and the 21st. You'll actually view each other's videos, and then we'll do a poll in one of the weekly overview sessions to vote on your top choices for presenters. As with the videos submitted for summit consideration, voting will be based on content and presentation skills, not video quality. If you have any questions about that, don't hesitate to let me know. We're also excited to let you know that the voting process will be used to help select one fellow from our institute who will have their Ignite talk professionally edited and recorded following the fellowship. We'll provide more details when they're available, but the selected fellow will work with that professional AV company at a time to be determined later in the summer or fall. That's, again, kind of mutually beneficial. Focus project. As we talked about, your coaches have all been given your packet, including your interests, your name, your contact information, and your preferred email. And we provided the information that you provided to us. So if any of that is not up to date or accurate, just let us know as soon as possible. Many of them have already reached out to you. Again, I'm going to encourage you to think about trying to schedule all 3 sessions now if you and your coach can do that. It is important that when you go to your session to bring good questions and using your worksheets that hopefully you'll have completed by that time to bring an idea of a focus project that you want to work on. If you have already worked through and finished your project toolkit, great. But if you finished it or not, go ahead and bring it with you so that you can share that and your project worksheet with your coach. Hopefully that makes sense. And then finally, make sure and act accordingly. You're a professional, your coach is a professional. You both have valuable experience to share with each other. Those are mandatory attendance, so we expect you to be there. And if for some reason you miss one, your coach is going to let us know. And that's just part of our requirements with IREX. Networking. So we've got 3 network events scheduled. The first one is going to be a speed networking event. 1 to 2 fellows will be in breakout rooms, and you'll meet with a coach for about 3 minutes, give or take a little bit. We plan on this taking about 60 minutes. It is possible it will run a little longer than that, depending on how things are going with you and if you want just a little extra time, but we plan on this taking about 60 minutes. Events 2 and 3 are going to be a little bit more of a deeper dive into those selected topics. And we got about 27 or 28 responses from you. And as a result, we have the 4 topics that we're going to use. And the way that's going to work is in the second and the third networking event, we're going to have 2 topics running concurrently. And the network leads, the professional network hosts, are going to essentially start over. They're going to give a very, very short presentation, as in like 2-3 minutes, about what they do and how they do it at the top and the half hour. So the idea is you can start in one, and then halfway through the event, you can switch to the other breakout room and engage with the networking going on there. That way we get to give you a little bit more information. We're also making sure to do topics that you've helped select. Doing pretty well on time. All right. Last week, we sent out the cohort agenda and calendar. And I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this, but this should be a very, very good resource for you over the next 6 weeks. If you've already taken a look at this, great. If you haven't, I just want to point out a couple of quick things. On the left-hand side of the week, they're going to list the asynchronous events taking place. This is where it's going to list the track session or the COP session, those things that you should be doing on your own time, the CLC portions if it's that week. The rest of the week, we're going to list things that are happening synchronously, i.e., every Monday, we're going to have our weekly debrief and overview, and I'm going to let Ian talk about that here in a moment. But during the week, we're also going to have our cultural connections, our community service, our networking events, discussion forums, etc. And so this is going to be a very, very good resource for you to just sort of know what's going on in the upcoming week. All right, expectations and policies. A couple of important things that we got to talk about, not necessarily joyful, happy things, but things we got to cover. We do expect you to participate in the synchronous and synchronous events. You should expect to commit about 10 to 15 hours per week for the structured programming. You will do the asynchronous independently, but you're expected to plan your schedule to accommodate your events and our synchronous institute activities. Participation doesn't mean showing up. It does mean attendance, but it also means engagement in the sessions and activities and completion of any content or assignments to the best of your ability. Full participation also means attending the full event for whatever's going on that day or that week, including the pre-fellowship modules, completion of the independent focus project work, and completion of an Ignite talk. They're going to monitor participation in 3 ways. Remember to try and mute if you're not presenting. IREX is going to be tracking your participation in the asynchronous events through the portal where you're working on the different sessions. We'll be taking a look at your participation in our Institute cohort activities. And you can actually monitor your own progress using that participation checklist and the portal gradebooks on the fellowship portal. IREX wanted us to let you know that you should have all received your first stipend payment by now to help offset expenses to support your full participation, which can include technology, non-technology expenses like data, printing course materials, transportation to internet cafes, fees for co-working spaces so you can access a more reliable internet connection. Your second payment will be sent about midway through the Institute. So we're looking at mid-July-ish, and it is subject to good standing in the program. Reach out to IREX at their main email, mwf2021@irex.org, if you have any questions or any concerns about your stipend. Having said that, full participation is required, but we do understand that something may come up that affects your ability to participate in a particular activity or event. Communication is key. If you take one thing away more than some of the others, communication is key in these situations. You have got to let us know immediately and beforehand if you're going to miss a required activity so we can determine the most appropriate accommodation for your situation. We're going to be recording most of our, if not all of our Zoom calls. But even in those situations, if you miss something, you're missing out on the engagement with us, with the coaches, with the network leads, and with each other. And that's a critical component. And so we're going to have to, if you miss, come up with something to help augment just watching the video. Please be proactive in your communication about any challenges so that we can come up with something. All right, I'm going to stop sharing and oh wait, one more thing. Oh. An important expectation of your participation is your responsibility for creating a welcoming, respectful, and inclusive environment. Violent, disrespectful, or abusive behavior are violations of the fellowship terms and conditions. The fellowship portal community standards are guidelines for creating a safe and respectful environment as you engage in the portal. The standards are detailed on the portal and include. Please make sure that you're muted if you're not presenting, okay? 4 main aspects: accuracy, conduct, privacy, and security. Accuracy.
She's refusing.
Okay, folks, I think people are having a little bit of trouble hearing me. Please make sure that your mic is muted if you're not presenting.
Hi, Michael. I wanted to ask, since you're the host, are you not able to just mute everyone at once?
That's what I'm working on.
All right.
Okay. Those 4 components. Accuracy, you should only share information and resources that you know are true and accurate. Let's not spread misinformation. Especially in this day and age, it's just important to make sure that if you're sharing something, it's correct. Conduct, you should refrain from using any kind of inflammatory language that is offensive, harmful, or seeks to exclude certain members of the community. Privacy, respect others' privacy. Comments made on live discussions or posted in the boards or in the closed Facebook page should not be shared externally without everyone's without everyone's express permission. I'm going to say that again. If something is posted, if something is said in one of these closed sessions on Facebook, on one of the discussion portals, don't share it unless everyone involved is aware and is okay with it. And then security. This should be pretty self-explanatory, but don't share your access credentials or any personally identifiable information with anybody. In fact, this even goes for us. We should never ask you for any of your access credentials or your personally identifiable information. We already have all the information we need to reach out to you. That's a big part of adulting. Behavior in violation in the above standards is taken very, very seriously and may be grounds for dismissal from the fellowship. So let's just not see that. As we've discussed, clear and timely communication will help the IREX team and our team evaluate your participation holistically as a whole and understand the factors and circumstances impacting your participation and completion status. Failure to complete required activities, and this is the part I have to read, on time may result in a delay or a cancellation of your second participation stipend payment, not being considered as having completed the program successfully, not receiving a Mandela Washington Fellowship completion certificate, and or not having access to benefits and or resources available to Mandela Washington Fellowship alumni. All right. Ian, take it away.
All right, let's see, Michael. There we go. Am I also listed as a co-host to be able to screen share, or how?
You should be able to screen share, yes.
Okay, let's see if I can get into it and do that.
If you have any problems, I'll screen share and move things along for you if need be.
Okay, I think we'll be able to figure it out. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. First off, I know this has been a big pivot and shift from what you expected the program to be, and that goes for all of us. We're used to conducting and doing this in a face-to-face format ourselves, so it's not been without its challenges. I'm going to see then. Let's see. Maybe did I mess up here? So we've all had to use numerous different video platforms, so just getting acclimated to it takes a moment. So if everybody can see my screen now, it looks like it. I think we're on roll. So this was a pre-pandemic photo when I was shaving my hair, and then now, well, after not being out of the house in some time, I've grown some of that back. But it is me. I typically have all these abbreviated, but because abbreviations don't always translate to other professions in other countries and things of that nature, I just went ahead and spelled it all out. Here at Texas Tech, we just call this our alphabet soup. It's all the letters that come after our name that says that we can do stuff, I guess, is what it comes down to. But most of my credentialings are in mental health. I'm a mental health counselor, licensed professional counselor in the state of Texas. I'm also a nationally certified counselor, which means that my education and training as a counselor is recognized across the United States. I'm also a certified school counselor. So for those of you who are dealing with education from kindergarten through 12, but also beyond, because I'm a college professor, I'm also a certified school counselor. I worked in the schools in public education for 8 years before becoming a professor. I'm also This one may be less important to y'all, but it is a level 2 Santre therapist. It's creative arts, using creative arts in therapy. So in therapeutic settings, it helps me connect with people who are maybe resistant to therapy. And then there's the teaching credentials that follow. So I do teach here at Texas Tech. I'm a professor in the counselor education program, an assistant professor going up for tenure this year. And so I teach and train future mental health professionals that work in clinical settings as well as in schools. This means that within the community, I also work very closely with our local school district, but also with other community mental health partners within Lubbock. That's a lot of nonprofit organizations. Many of our mental health agencies qualify as being nonprofit organizations. So I work closely with them and sit on the board of directors of one of the organizations in town that one of you all will be participating with as their coach. Also, in a quick aside, I did, please look into your private chats on Zoom. I have reached out to the 3 fellows that I'll be coaching for the independent projects to send, to let you know that I send out some calendar invites. I was trying to meet with 2 of y'all today. So just please take a look at that. I believe that's Zara or Zara. And I don't want to misspell this name, but I'm going to say Mpho. It's Mpho. And I'd love to get the correct pronunciation of that name when we're able to meet. So briefly, my role on this program has changed quite a bit because we pivoted virtually. And some things that I'm going to point out to y'all today is just some mental health considerations that y'all should keep in mind, and that I hope you keep in mind as you go through this program. This is a completely different way that we've done this program than we've ever had to before, of course, because the COVID-19 pandemic across the world right now. One of the things that we're all, at least many of us on my end of the screen and in Lubbock, is we're dealing with quite a bit of what has been called Zoom fatigue. It's that draining feeling that you know when you have a video conference meeting coming up. It's that that feeling that kind of takes away some of your excitement about being in a space where ideas and things are happening and being created. Many of us work in academia that are on this program, and there's a lot of times where we all sit in the conference room together. I imagine like y'all do at times, or meeting rooms, and you come up and generate ideas that are just flowing. You're in this real good energy flow with the people around you. Some synchronicity happens where, for instance, maybe sitting in the same room with Michael Johnson, I can get a vibe off of him, a feel of where he's going with an idea, sometimes when he can't come up with the words. And many of y'all may have that experience where you finish other people's sentences in the rooms, and sometimes those sentences are finished correctly. Well, with Zoom fatigue right now, and we've all been on Zoom now for over a year, we've all had to pivot our classes that we were teaching face-to-face to virtual environments. Some of us are just getting really tired of sitting in front of the computer and logging in. We're missing that face-to-face connection and contact. We were all thoroughly disappointed when we knew that this program got shifted to a virtual format, because one of the impactful things about this program for us is getting to be in the same space with y'all and meet y'all as y'all are going through this transition, being here with us in Lubbock at Texas Tech for 6 weeks before you go to Washington. So check in with yourself and pay attention to that, and notice and maybe document. It's not something that you need to share with anyone else, but just for your own self-awareness and your own journey. Document some of those feelings that you may be having before going into a Zoom meeting or after a Zoom meeting, just to kind of see maybe how it compares to your face-to-face meetings that some of you may be having now if your respective countries or cities are open for business. But we know that there are quite a few places in the world that are still pretty well shut down. So just keeping track of your own reactions and your own energy as you're going into the Zoom meetings and coming out of the Zoom meetings, whether it be one-on-one with coaches, networking events, or any of the other educational sessions, leadership sessions that y'all have coming forward. Because those things, if we don't keep them in our collective awareness, there's a chance that it could turn into something else, that it may zap or take away more motivation that we have to complete certain projects and certain things as we go through this program. One of the other things too, in this I'll talk about a little bit on the next slide, is authenticity and transparency. I don't know, I kind of think back to when I was in high school trying to get a date. If you could put a phone on my ear, I could be anybody in the world and I could be as smooth as could be. But I might like stutter and stammer when I'm talking to that person face to face, because I had my pitch down on the phone. I had it all ready to go on the phone, and I could be whoever I wanted to be. But when I had to stand in front of that person, I had to be me, or try to figure out if I could be somebody different, maybe in that case. So online, authenticity can be difficult sometimes to show. And by checking in with ourselves, as we check in with the Zoom fatigue and other things, you also notice that you may be positioning yourself or putting only one side of yourself out there for others to know. The Zoom meetings at times have the propensity to turn into one-way conversations, lectures, and things of that nature. And with a large group, it can be hard to have participation coming from everybody. But you do have multiple times throughout the Institute where you can engage with your personality, that we can get to know each of one of you on a more individual level. Now, all the settings that we meet in may not afford us that opportunity, but take advantage of those opportunities that you do have. Some of those leadership discussions that are on your calendar is one of those opportunities. The debriefings that you have with me on Mondays is another one of those opportunities. And your one-on-one coaching sessions and your networking sessions are other opportunities where you can really show us a little bit more about who you are, how you operate, and just being able to connect with you all at a deeper level. Again, in other iterations, we'd be able to walk and talk in the hallways. We'd be able to go around the Texas Tech campus and get to know each other a little bit better. But because of all the restrictions that we're under right now, some of those things have been stripped from us. So we got to do the best we can. And a lot of us have been for over the last year, managing life in a virtual environment more than a face-to-face environment. Sometimes it can also affect our transparency. And letting people into that space of how we think and how we feel about certain situations. This is of the utmost importance when you are connecting with future colleagues, maybe even future friends, comrades in arms, however you look at it. Even though all of you fellows have independent missions for your specific locations, your specific context that you're working with people, your specific ways that you provide outreach and education to your populations, there is a shared common goal across all the fellows in this institute. And that's why you've been selected. That's why you had the arduous process to become a fellow. So trying to show us some of that authenticity, not necessarily us being me, Michael, Darren, or Conrad, but your other fellows, because these are the people who are going to be your partners really moving forward. We are here for a shorter period of time for some guidance, for some leadership, for some ideas and things like that for the 6 weeks that we have together. But the lasting relationships, undoubtedly in this Mandela Fellows Institute, are those connections that you make and you create with one another. It's the joint partnerships. It's being able to pick up the phone and call someone, one of your colleagues in Ghana, to be able to put together a project that you see that there's some merit in, or picking up the phone and calling someone in Botswana to ask them how they navigated a specific issue that you're having trouble with, and just to get some advice and some direction. Another benefit, of course, is all the resources that y'all are able to get access to through being a fellow in this program. And in other settings, y'all may have talked to past fellows and to see the kind of support that they get. But again, the real core of this support that happens is between you fellows. And again, because it's virtual, You don't have all those shared lunches together, those shared dinners, those shared breakfasts together that you would have if this institute was had you in the United States right now. But we have to make do with what we've got. So during those sessions, during those debriefing sessions, those are going to be times where you all have the opportunity to share some of the struggles and difficulties you were having with connecting, that you were having with maybe connecting the content to action, the materials to action, but also in difficulties that you may have connecting with others. Maybe you're reaching out to a particular fellow and you're not getting any responses back, and we may need to discuss that a little bit. The things that happen in our meeting, I'm going to be documenting, recording notes, but I'm not going to record things word for word. I'm going to record themes of what's happening across the group of fellows. I would only specifically reference a fellow if they express that that is okay. As a counselor, I hold confidentiality to the highest standard because that is what my licensure, my profession depends on me doing. If I don't do that, then I can also lose my standing as a counselor. So the things that you say to me in confidence are remain and stay in confidence. Those things that need to be shared out with the Institute as points of feedback, that way minor adjustments can be made to try to make this experience as meaningful as possible for you. Those are things that I would appreciate you all sharing with me so that I can share out with the administration and educational team. That way we can make those adjustments and work on trying to make this situation as best we can for you. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next slide because there is some other parts in there and there's a little bit of overlap, and now I'm starting to, I was trying to get times together, but oh geez, here we go. You know, and thank y'all for being patient through all this because it is challenging to organize and put all these things together. And we are going to have some technical difficulties as we navigate and move through specific parts of the programming. And your patience is very appreciated as we do this. As it is, I'm having a technical difficulty because I can't find what I was looking for. No, there's a U2 song in there somewhere. Still haven't found what I'm looking for, I believe. But all right. So in this next space, and this is what I've been talking about a little bit already. We're all relational human beings. A lot of what we do is the growth we experience, the way we walk through the world is a result of the way we connect or disconnect with the people around us. Yes, can you live a solitary existence in this life? Sure you can. I mean, there's numerous people that do it. We have different terms for those people, hermits, things like that. But there are people who live a fairly solitary life. My hunch is those people who probably live a solitary life is because they had some profound moment of disconnection in their life that they may not have recovered from or chose to go a different way. But we do move through this world through our relationships. We grow and learn through the relationships we have, whether it be with teachers, professors, colleagues, mentors, other people that we're surrounded with, whether it be through parents, siblings, cousins, friends. A lot of what we do and we know about ourselves, we learn by being in the presence of others, whether you're introverted or extroverted. Really, the main difference between an introvert and an extrovert is where they recharge, not their ability to be in front of people. Many famous actors and actresses are introverts. And that's sometimes surprising to people. They're like, oh, well, they can get up on a stage and command an audience of 1,000 people. Yeah, but when they need to recharge, they go find a quiet spot by themselves. They go hide in their cave and recharge a little bit. Extroverted people tend to recharge in the presence of others. They draw energy and build energy by being around other people. You may find out some of those things in that strengths assessment. And if you have questions about the strengths assessment and you need assistance processing that, please let me know and we can discuss that in our debriefings, because that's an area that I'm very familiar with. I also served as a career counselor on college campuses, and we use a lot of these personality type assessments because they are pretty helpful. They give general overviews. They may not be Everything that comes up in your profile may not exactly fit you, but more often than not, a lot of it does. And sometimes we learn something about ourselves and the way we connect with others or disconnect with others that we didn't know before. We need a little help processing that. And I'm here for those times as well. So let's see. Make sure that I'm going right along. With challenges, there's challenges to connections and disconnections that we're going to have throughout this institute. One is going to be not being in the same place. Obviously, it's you can't go down the hall and knock on the door of one of your fellows and have a conversation outside over a cigarette, over a cup of coffee, or just sitting outside. So that presents some challenges. Many of y'all are working in slightly different time zones, maybe an hour to 2 hours off of each other, maybe even more. You're also going to have that challenge with probably some of your coaches as well. Some of you getting into the evening hours is just starting our morning. So we'll try to meet those challenges with grace and give people the opportunity and a chance to recover from those things, because this is all fairly new for us, all of us, to have to engage in. And there's going to be constant moving around and figuring out and shuffling of things in those smaller meeting settings like times and things like that. So let's keep that in mind to try to provide as much grace as we can and give the other person involved in that relationship the opportunity to recover. Maybe with some kind and helpful feedback, but keep the feedback kind and helpful, because it is easy in a virtual environment for us to get frustrated a little bit easier and upset a little bit easier, because it would just be a lot easier to be in the same room and deal with it with that person. But they keep on closing off their camera, or they keep on muting, or they keep on stepping away from their computer, or all you see is that their still image on the computer, and you really don't know whether they're listening to you or not, or if they're outside doing something else. So there's a lot of frustrations that can arise from that, but please, let's just try to meet that other party and that other person with as much grace as possible. Sometimes that means changing the meeting time. Maybe the meeting time doesn't work for you. Maybe you have children in the background and they're having difficulty remaining occupied while you take that hour that you need for your coaching session, and you can't really focus and put your best effort in there. It's okay to ask if you can change that meeting time. One of mine already asked to change their meeting. One of my coaching fellows already asked to move their meeting time today, which was fine today. Other times I may not be able to move that time, and we'll have to work with it as best we can, which may mean following up with different kinds of communication. Let's see. So sometimes it can be hard to be authentic in a virtual environment. Things that you could do as well when you're meeting and being introduced to new people is bring something kind of like an old, we used to do this in elementary school, show and tell. So you can start a meeting with showing a little bit something about yourself that that person may not know, that can help provide a little bit more depth in the connection. Typically, when I start a class, I give a view around my office. Y'all notice that I have a blue sky painted on the top of my office, and that's because I went into a casino one night, the Paris Casino in Las Vegas, and I was having a little fun at the gambling tables at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I noticed, why do I have so much energy? Well, it's because they have a sky painted on their ceiling, and it makes you think that it's daytime. And I'm typically a night writer. I do a lot of my research and things at night, so it's helpful for me to make it feel like it's daytime to me. And it's just also a little bit of a creative slant that I like to put in my office. And I have numerous other things around my office. A lot of sports memorabilia, some historical figures in there. And typically when I start a meeting, I'll take one of those things that I have there and just take the opportunity to explain it to somebody. That way they get to know a little bit more. One of the things that was in, go ahead, Michael. You can interrupt.
Yeah, we actually only have about 5 minutes left, and I really want them to have some Q&A time with especially the academic team. So as quick, lightning fast as you can get through the next couple of slides. It's really important.
And any of this can also, we can talk about it on a Monday, Michael. So I can bump any of this. I was just making sure we had enough on there to cover everything, but I can always move anything that I'm talking about to another time.
Let's go ahead and do that, and let's spend the rest of the time for Q&A, because again, I really want them to be able to ask you and Darren and Conrad or the administrative team any questions they might have.
Excellent. Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, if you'll take yourself off screen share so that we can see all of our happy faces.
Yeah, that would help, right?
All right, so at this point, this is a great opportunity to ask specific questions that you might have for any of us. And again, you're going to have opportunities to meet with us in various events, and you can reach out to us directly. But as Ian pointed out, there's something for being able to see our face as well. So, what questions do you have? Being too loud.
We have apparently answered all the questions.
Apparently, we're that effective.
I have a question.
Please.
All right, thank you. Again, this is Felix from Malawi. I should start by saying Zikomo, which means thank you from Malawi. I should appreciate the introduction and the information that has been shared, but I wanted to know how are we going to build a lasting relationship with Texas Tech University? I've seen the mention of relationships with other fellows, which I'm looking forward to. But I'm also looking forward to a lasting relationship with Texas Tech University, and not just the relationship with the fellow fellows. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll give a quick response and then I'll encourage any of the rest of the TTU team to speak up. It's going to be a little more challenging this year, but one of the things that's going to be very, very important to that is open dialogue. We've got to communicate, we've got to converse with each other, we've got to be respectful. That was one of the reasons that concern about you not feeling a connection to us is one of the reasons we've actually spent, I kid you not, the last 4 weeks going through and filming to show you different aspects of Lubbock and Texas Tech to give you a better idea of what life is like here, to give you a better understanding of us. From there, if you have a chance to watch those and you get a chance to see what life is like here, I'm going to encourage you to speak out on these sessions, to have questions, to bring things, to ask us about things. When we get into the networking, we're often very open to further collaborations. In fact, one of the things we're going to talk about are international research and grant opportunities and how to engage in those. And we're happy to say that we have engaged with alumni of this program on some of those opportunities. So be engaging, be respectful, and take some time to look at some of those videos. I'm going to say that's a great first step. TTU team?
Yes. So first of all, I just want to say congratulations to all of you for being here. I am so excited. I know it's been a long journey for all of you, but you're here and it's the first day. So my name is Kat. I am program coordinator. So I'm going to be in charge of trying my very best to help you connect to Texas Tech and West Texas culture. I'm a Lubbock native and I'm a Texas Tech alumni. So we will be sharing some of the videos about West Texas culture, things on Texas Tech campus. And I actually work with international students. That's my full-time job. And so I do this all the time anyway. So I'm really excited to share my culture with you and my school with you because Texas Tech is an amazing university. It was founded in 1923. And so we are primarily a research institute and we do some amazing work. So we're looking forward to sharing that with you as well. One of the best ways you can connect to us and to the university is through social media. If you have not already joined the Facebook group, please do so. I will be posting a lot of bonus content that will not be available on Canvas onto our Facebook group. And that will be another really good way for you to get to know the campus better and to get to know West Texas culture better. And if you have any questions at all about life here, please let me know. I'm more than happy to share with you. And I really look forward to learning more about your culture and looking forward to sharing my culture with you. So welcome to Texas Tech University. You guys are Red Raiders right now. You've already started. So in Texas Tech, we do this. It means guns up. It means wreck 'em. Woohoo, Texas Tech. So get your guns up, because you guys are Red Raiders as of today, and you will always be a part of the Texas Tech culture. So congratulations. And if anyone else wants to take it from there, go for it.
Darren, looked like you had something you wanted to say.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and jump in. And that's
Hey, Ian, I think Darren wanted to jump in and say something.
okay. Go ahead, Darren. Sorry, I misheard you.
No, that's fine. I'm just going to add, I mean, this is a challenge. It's a challenge for you. It's a challenge for us. This is not, as Ian sort of talked about, we're all pretty much sick and tired of having to do Zoom. And we were very bummed out when we found out this was going to be virtual, because part of the experience that we've always valued is your time here on campus and the integration you have with the university. I just echo Michael's comments. There's going to be opportunities through this where we're there. I know Ian, Conrad, and I, and several of us are coaching. So take those opportunities to really get to know us well, and then after that, the community practice sessions, the discussion forums, things like that. Those are all great opportunities. I know, I didn't know about Ian, but I know Conrad and I have both been to Africa multiple times. And so, we've already done projects there. And so we're happy to continue that thought process along the way. Anyway, so I'll stop there. That way we don't run out of time. I know we got other people with questions.
I was just going to add into that is that, my experience with the people, I'm Conrad Leifert, I'm part of the academic team and really excited about the opportunity to work with you all here at Texas Tech. In the past, I remember taking the fellows to a lot of the cultural events you'll only get the videos of. It would have been fabulous to have you all here to take you there and be part of that. Unfortunately, I'm not able to do that with you guys this time. I'll just say the biggest thing that probably will get you to be more connected, Felix, and probably everybody as well, is to take the initiative to understand what you want to see happen. You probably see some examples, some ideas that you might want, but reach out to your coaches, have your ideas of what you'd like to see happen, and take initiative. We're trying our best to connect, and we'd love to connect with you guys and love to work with people in Africa here. I can speak for all of us, I think, and we're really excited that you're able to work with you this semester or this time frame, and just do reach out about your interests and plans, and we will try to help you be successful with those outcomes.
Michael, somebody has their hand up.
Thank you very much. It's pronounced Mwekiti from South Africa.
Thank you.
Yes. No, thank you very much for the warm reception. Yeah, it's evening here in South Africa and it's winter as well. But we are very excited to be here. That's a question. I noticed during the presentation that most of the sessions are compulsory. And if you know that you are not going to be able to attend, you must make preparations beforehand to make sure that perhaps you can be excused. The only issue that I have is that here in South Africa, we experiencing a lot of load shedding because of the low power supply here. And sometimes we do not have immediate access to that information. So I'm just worried about whether at some point, if I'm supposed to attend a session and it's load shedding here, it might pose a problem for me. Is there any way that I can perhaps after effect actually then give that kind of information? And if at all, would one need to supplement it with any form of proof or so of some sort, show that in actual fact we're experiencing power problems? as well as network problems. We tend to have those frequently here. I just wanted to know if you cannot, or if you could not anticipate a challenge that one would have. Is there any way that perhaps that can be remedied at a later stage? Thank you.
The easiest answer is, of course. If you know about something ahead of time, including potential load sharing or low power times, share that with us, and keep that in mind when you're scheduling your coaching sessions. Having said that, if something happens and you're without power and you don't have access to internet 5 minutes before you are supposed to be part of a session, we are absolutely going to be understanding and as flexible as we possibly can. And in those situations, we will work with IREX to come up with an appropriate activity that you can do, watching the video of the recorded session, as well as something else to try and augment or supplement that engagement that you might have missed from that session. We will be flexible. We understand things happen. We just switched to a new electricity grid here in Lubbock, and I had a power outage over the weekend. So things happen. Other questions?
I just, I just got to follow up on that, especially for the coaching or where you're having to have synchronous sessions, coaches, especially because you'll be communicating through them with it. Just let them know your situation. We all know what's going, these things happen. And, if an appointed time comes and you're not there, I'm going to assume you've got a power outage problem. You just email me later when things come up. We'll set something up later. I mean, that's how most of us work. So we understand.
Other questions? Other hands raised? I recognize that we're already past time, and so if we need to go ahead and wrap up, happy to do that. I'm also happy to stay on for a few more minutes if other people have questions. Otherwise, if you need to go, you can go ahead and log off. If you have additional questions, feel free to stick around. But we'll try to wrap this up because I do recognize we're past time.
It was so nice meeting or getting to see all of you. Thank you again for taking time to join us.
And we'll tomorrow morning at this time period, 10:30 our time, 3:30 for GMT. Kat and I will actually be touring the Ranching Heritage Center live with Maria playing logistics. So that's going to be really, really cool. And you're going to see some neat things. Looking forward to that. And again, if you have any questions, throw up a hand now or just unmute and ask. And otherwise, we'll go from there.
And please don't hesitate to reach out if you guys get into Canvas and navigating through there. Please reach out to me.
All right. Looks like there may not be any other questions. Yes, guns up. I'd like to see that some of you are already doing that.
All right.
PIs, Darren, Conrad, Ian, thank you so much for your time. Kat, Maria, thank you for helping put all this together. I am so excited about this institute. It's going to be wonderful. We're going to make it as wonderful as possible for you. And otherwise, have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.